Yo! Welcome into the Bare Necessities podcast. I'm John Prisnowski. Thanks for hanging out, guys. What a night. What a day. Especially for me. I actually attended Bears training camp the morning of, the day that HBO's training camp with the Chicago Bears, Hard Knocks, premiered. So today, Tuesday, August 6th, that I'm recording this was quite a day for me and my Bears fandom. I obviously had to hop on here, give my initial reaction to that first episode that so many of us probably could not wait to stream, like myself, like my fiance. Me and her are trying to find like the word to describe watching what we just watched. I've been such a big fan of Hard Knocks, going all the way back to like the early 2000s with like the Baltimore Ravens, Tony Siragusa, Shannon Sharpe, Ray Lewis. I've been watching this show for a while. I always tell people around August, mid-August, late August, like we are just so close to the regular NFL season kicking off, and preseason, like you get the itch, but like it just doesn't, it doesn't, fully heal that scratch, But tonight, that was awesome. That was so, excuse my French, that was so fucking awesome. Watching not just any team on Hard Knocks, but my team. For all the heartache and sadness and misery and just about every negative term you could throw out there about being a fan of the Chicago Bears, tonight was one of those nights where I'm like, wow, like that was awesome. And I don't know if proud's the right word to describe how I'm feeling, but I think it's just cool. It's just cool. Like, not just Bears fans, but a lot of people around the whole country are very curious to see how Caleb Williams is going to do in his first year. So what do? They signed up for an HBO subscription. They already have an HBO subscription, but people tuned in tonight to see training camp Hard Knocks with the Chicago Bears. And I just think that's so fucking cool. And it's our team. It's our team, that people are watching right now. So I wanted to come on, share my initial reactions, talk about some of my favorite moments of episode 1. Also, like I said, to begin the show, I actually attended training camp this morning up at Halas Hall in Lake Forest. My fiance and I, we went up there. There's a couple things that stood out to me. And none of them have to do with the quarterback. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that I saw today from training camp that stood out. And I have one take that probably isn't going to be the most popular one, but hear me out. And I do want to ask, because I genuinely do not think that this person can be challenged at this specific skill trait that he has. Want to get to that in a little bit, and then we're going to wrap things up talking about the Hall of Fame game. Colin Johnson, Brett Rippon, two guys fighting for a roster spot. You saw a little bit of it in the Hard Knocks episode. Guys that are on the fringe of making the roster. Games like the Hall of Fame game, although I know to the general public in the third quarter, before the game was terminated. And really quick, have you guys ever watched a game where the game is terminated or just delayed and then just made final? I mean, it's been a long time for me. I can't necessarily recall or pinpoint a specific game that I watched where the game just ended because of lightning and weather. But it was probably best for safety reasons. The Bears ended up winning that game 21-17 over the Houston Texans, and Joe Buck, Troy Aikman were on the call. Just nice in general to have football back. So with this week in specific, with Hard Knocks airing tonight, if you're a Bears fan, we're lucky because we have a Hard Knocks episode every Tuesday and then a preseason game pretty much every Saturday up until the start of the regular season on September 8th when the Bears host the Titans at Soldier Field. So like we're lucky. We're one of the lucky ones. We get more football content than most. So lucky us, right? So much to talk about. Again, Bare Necessities podcast. Please, guys, if you haven't done so already, I would love if you guys would go on my YouTube channel. Please hit subscribe. I'm really trying to grow the program this year. I can't wait to bring more guests on this year and really expand the show and give you guys more content. I'm so looking forward to this season, as so many of us are. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Let's let's just stick to what we know right now. And right now, obviously, the talk is this show and what we just watched last night. And I apologize in advance if you haven't watched the episode already. Maybe some spoilers, but it's not like we're watching like a Marvel movie or a Game of Thrones episode. It's not like I'm going to like ruin what's to come. You're eventually going to see what happens, but obviously, me just being me, I got to throw it out there for you. So without further ado, some things that I absolutely loved from the Hard Knocks episode tonight. Number one, and maybe this is just me being biased for both statements here, but number one, the Hard Knocks intro where the players are on the Chicago architecture tour, the riverboat, and they're looking up at the buildings and they're pumping the old NFL films, videos of the '85 Bears and the Dick Butkus, the Gale Sayers years, and just how historic the Chicago Bears franchise is. And maybe the general NFL fan does not know just how rooted in history this franchise is, and it just is adding to this palpitation of just us wanting a winner just so bad. And obviously we got to talk about the Michael Jordan, the Bulls intro theme song and doing the slow-mo with Caleb. Super cheesy, not going to lie, super cheesy, but if you're Chicagoan like me, I mean, come on, like that was awesome. That was fucking awesome. Gotta throw that out there. Honorable mention to Canadian offensive lineman Theo Benedict, Jack Lomax, who you've seen on the show, who's been a regular guest of mine for a while, was ranting and raving about this Canadian free agent offensive lineman that Ryan Poles signed. And he got some love tonight, and boy, did he ever. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen the episode, but let's just say that his rookie presentation was something to behold. So shout out to Theo Benedict. I mean, that was probably one of my favorite moments. We saw a little bit of DJ Moore signing his contract extension. I mean, Ryan Poles literally plucked him from practice to bring him up to his office to sign his new deal. He is the richest Bears player in history and well-deserved. Great player and even better person off the field. I think we all can agree. DJ Moore, just more than deserving of that contract. And again, it's just crazy to think that DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Cole Kmet, and Caleb Williams all are going to be Bears for the next 4 to 5 seasons, all locked up. That is your general core nucleus right there. And on paper, man, that looks great. And if Swift performs well, if Keenan Allen, maybe can stay another year or two. I mean, this is a dangerous team on paper, folks. Definitely saw a little bit though, backtracking. Definitely saw a little bit of rookie growing spurts, as any rookie quarterback into the NFL is going to have. It wasn't all rainbows and fairies for Caleb Williams in this episode. You saw the struggles. He goes up against a pretty formidable defense every day, and it's not like they're taking it easy on him by any means. You saw a lot of frustration, but the kid owns it, and he goes to the podium and he represents himself. And to me, honestly, sometimes it's like I'm watching a 10-year vet talk at the podium, and it's this young man from Washington DC to Oklahoma to USC, and now here in Chicago. And it's like he's done this song and dance before. It's like he's been here before. It's like he was wired to say the right things and be so candid in his answers and so open, honest, and transparent. And this, I don't want to go into this episode trying to compare how would Justin Fields react to being on Hard Knocks rather than Caleb, but would we really be able to see Justin Fields open up, be himself, be goofy, be vulnerable in the moment? Would we be able to see Justin do that we just watched Caleb do, we've been watching Caleb do these last couple of weeks through training camp? It was refreshing. It's really cool. You cannot help but root for the kid. And I know a lot of people doubt him. I know a lot of people want to label him a bust. And time will tell. Time will tell if this is going to work, if Ryan Poles pulled the right trigger and selected the right guy here, but you cannot deny that no rookie quarterback in NFL history has ever walked into a better situation than Caleb has in front of him. And it's, again, like I just said, it's not going to be all rainbows and fairies. There are going to be growing pains. There are going to be struggles, but all signs, all indications are pointing to that, like, this kid has it. And he's been saying all the right things, and he's been representing himself the right way. And this would be such a huge, huge moment for not just like for any rookie quarterback coming in, playing for this franchise that is literally starving for a winner. And this kid is just saying, doing, and just balling out and being himself. And I love it. I'm here for it. I'm here for the growing pains. It's not going to be electric. I'm not expecting a CJ Stroud type of season. We don't need a CJ Stroud type of season. I think those are unrealistic expectations. And speaking of expectations, you saw Nick Saban, arguably the best collegiate football coach of all time, at Halas Hall talking to Matt Eberflus about what realistic expectations should be for Caleb and giving him pointers about how he should handle the quarterbacks in front of the team and just giving him just great advice and great. I mean, it seems like Saban is a mentor to Eberflus back to their days at University of Toledo. I thought that was so cool. Like fucking Nick Saban up at Halas Hall giving Matt Eberflus pointers. Matt Eberflus, the glow up, that was cool. That was cool, showing, you know, how dap he looks now, you know, how far he's come from, you know, stale, goofy looking Eberflus. And he's still goofy. Don't get me wrong. The guy's still a total doofus, in my opinion, but at least he looks a lot more presentable these days. Let's put it that way. But that's our head coach, so you got to roll with him. And we'll see where it ends up. And obviously we got to touch on Jonathan Owens rooting on his wife. That, you know, if you're living under a rock, I don't know what's wrong with you. Simone Biles, the greatest gymnast in USA history, rooting her on in Paris. And I think it's so cool. The Bears let him go over to Paris to root her on and to watch. Guy missed 3 practices, but he brought his iPad, still, you know, working on installs and whatnot, trying to learn the playbook. So cool that they let him do that. I think she did pretty well last time I checked. So she's pretty good, and I think she's gonna be rooting for the Bears this year. Just gonna throw that one out there. Pretty cool if you ask me. But let's get back on track here. Again, I'm trying to find the word to describe like watching that episode. I've watched a lot of Hard Knocks throughout the years. And again, around this time in August, I'm always like, I want football content. I need football. I'm done with baseball. And boy, are we ever done with baseball. Thank God I don't do a White Sox podcast. Woof. But that's neither here nor there. I just keep going back to, I've watched so many other teams do the Hard Knocks. Like last year, I'm not an Aaron Rodgers guy. I don't necessarily like the Jets or follow the Jets, but I couldn't wait to tune in every week to watch training camp with the New York Jets. I mean, it's awesome. I love Liv Schreiber, the narrator. I mean, he's done a great job for so many years, and the fact that he's doing it for our team now, and it's like it's not real, honestly. I do know that, you know, there are some issues with teams being on Hard Knocks. I documented it pretty well a couple episodes ago that I put out, and you guys can go back and listen to them if you want. But teams that are on Hard Knocks necessarily don't do well. You know, the Jets didn't make the playoffs last year. The year before that, the Detroit Lions came 1 game short of making the playoffs. You know, teams, again, necessarily don't make the playoffs if you're on Hard Knocks. So will that affect this Bears team? We don't know. Lengthy expectations are on this team. I've been talking to friends and family all over the Chicagoland area, people that are a lot more meatball headed Bears fans than me. Everyone keeps floating out, 10 wins, 11 wins, like that. I think that's overachieving, honestly. Um, I really think that where things are gelling and moving, that 9 wins is more than doable and should be treated as a successful season. Um, and again, the next couple of weeks, watching these Hard Knocks episodes and watching the Bears continue the preseason, continue their training camp, I'm really, really excited to see Caleb finally get to have some game action. He didn't play any snaps in the Hall of Fame game, and why should he? It's the Hall of Fame game. No starting quarterback has started the Hall of Fame game since I believe 2016. It's been that long. So all the people that freaked out that Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze weren't out there, y'all need to relax. It's gonna be okay. Those two are fine. Speaking of Rome Odunze, I was at training camp this morning. Yeah, this was quite the Tuesday for me. I attended training camp this morning with my fiance, and the weather was kind of weird and gloomy and dreary, and that's kind of how practice was today. They weren't in full pads. They were kind of going through walkthroughs and shells a little bit. So the energy, although when you would get the number one defense and the number one offense going at it in red zone drills, that was full speed. But the majority of practice really wasn't the highest energy, I want to say. I went to training camp last year and they had, the DJ and the music just blaring. It was loud. And today was quiet. There was a couple exciting plays for sure. But definitely a little bit of a different feel. I still had a great time, still had great access. So cool being there and just such a unique experience. And then coming home and plopping down on the couch and getting to watch Hard Knocks tonight. But a couple things that stood out to me today, none of them have to do with Caleb Williams, but one of them has to do with Rome Odunze. Number one, just looking at Rome in person, seeing him in person. I mean, we've all seen him on the television, but looking at him in person, he's a big dude. He's a big dude that can move. And because of that, and because of what, some of the experience he's had at Washington, Rome Odunze returned some punts at Washington, and I think the Bears are going to give him a look here in the preseason to see if this is going to stick. Him and DeAndre Carter were rotating in punt return duties. I'm really interested to see who's going to win that battle. I think DeAndre Carter is more of that special teams role that he was brought in for, from the Chargers. Guy's got speed. He's a little guy, a little shifty guy. But how do you feel about Rome Odunze taking punt returns? What if Rome gets hurt on one of these plays? How would that make you feel? I thought it was cool. I really did. I thought he moved extremely well out there, and it would not surprise me if Rome Odunze was your 2024 Bears punt returner. I mean, he looked good out there. The second thing I want to talk about, and this was kind of going around Twitter a little bit earlier, and I can confirm, Velus Jones, the former third-round pick out of Tennessee, was taking snaps at halfback with the second squad and the third stringers today. Thought that was very interesting. He wasn't doing wide receiver drills; he was with the halfbacks. He was with the running backs today. I know so many people are fed up with Velus. They are over the Velus Jones experience. They've been burned by Velus so many times before. The Bears have given him chances, and the guy cannot catch. He's had some fumble issues, but I feel like I'm one of the only Velus Jones truthers out there. I feel like people are missing the whole point of why Velus Jones is still on this roster. Can you guys name me? And I seriously, take a second to think about this. Can anyone out there, can any Bears fan out there, can you name me a faster player on the roster than Velus Jones? Anyone? Anyone out there? I can't. I honestly can't. I know Tyler Scott's got some speed. I know, I just mentioned DeAndre Carter has some speed. Rome's got some speed. DJ's got some speed, but you're not going to put those guys at kick return. Look at what Cordarrelle Patterson, has made a living off of, converted wide receiver to halfback role. Velus Jones has a very similar body type. He's a bigger, stronger, physical receiver, but he's got that natural speed that you cannot teach. There is a reason why he is still on this roster, and I believe Shane Waldron and this offense has to find a way to carve out a role for Velus Jones, because his speed alone is good enough for him to make a roster spot. And I understand that people are frustrated with Velus Jones. And, we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame game in a second, because the wide receiver room is getting really, really crowded for the Bears, because you still have Tyler Scott and you have Colin Johnson, who had a hell of a game in Canton, Ohio the other night. Hell of a game. Loved what I saw from Colin Johnson. But again, can anyone name me anyone faster than Velus Jones on this roster? In my opinion, he is the fastest guy on this team. And you have to exhaust all resources to make sure that if you really need to move on from Velus, you will after this year. But this really is his last chance. So put him at halfback. Put him at running back. Why not? What do you have to lose? As long as it's not a pivotal moment in the game, what do you have to lose? I don't think anything. I really don't. I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. And I hope he figures it out. And I hope he proves all of us wrong. I really do. The last thing I want to talk about, and no, it's not Caleb. Although Caleb had some good throws. You know what I noticed about Caleb today? He had really good touch on the ball. You see highlights on social media. You've seen, videos of him in highlights, but seeing it in person, some of the lobs, he would do a lob throw, but he just puts just the right touch on the ball. He made a play to DJ Moore in the corner left of the end zone where he just kind of floated it over the defender and just put enough touch on it. That was really cool. Who really put the ball up in the air today, though, is the punter, Torrey Taylor. And what an immediate upgrade he is over Trenton Gill. I mean, this guy's got a leg. Oh my God. I mean, I'm really excited to see Torrey Taylor in action, and I'm hoping he gets some reps this upcoming week in Buffalo against the Bills on Saturday, because he looked great in practice today. He was kicking from the goal line to almost the opposing 30-yard line. I mean, I might be exaggerating. Obviously, that's a long-ass punt, but the hang time, it was impressive. And again, Torrey Taylor, an immediate upgrade over Trenton Gill. Immediate. This is the Bear Necessities podcast again. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I'm John Presnowski. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame game really quick. Last Thursday, just great to have football back. When I approach preseason games, and I really want people to understand this and really try and be on the same wavelength here as me. Number one, it's just preseason. It does not matter what the final score is. Cool, the Bears won because the game was terminated at 21-17, because of weather. Great. They're 1-0. They're undefeated. Whoa, watch out. It's just preseason. You're looking for guys that stand out on tape, that fly to the ball and make plays. And you're looking at your second and third stringers, like Brett Rippon, like Colin Johnson, to make plays, to go out there, to compete, to earn a roster spot. And that's exactly what we saw. It goes without saying that, this past weekend, if you're a Bears fan, how special it was to watch Devin Hester, Steve Mongo McMichael, and Julius Peppers. Although I know he's not going in as a Bear, he spent, considerable years of his career here in Chicago as a member of the Bears. It was so cool watching Hester go in specifically. Mongo was a little bit before my time. I understand the significance. I mean, he was such an important part of that 85 defense that, he was playing with so many elite guys around him. I understand probably why it took him so long to finally get recognized and finally be recognized and enshrined in the Hall of Fame. But the guy did so much, not just for that team, but for the Bears in general. I mean, this guy didn't miss games. He had, well over 12 plus seasons as a Bear. It's so sad to see, Mongo in his current state right now. And I really feel like he's been holding on for dear life just for this moment, just knowing like how close he's been to getting enshrined, and like what a moment seeing Richard Dent, and Mike Singletary and Hamp, and so many of the 85 guys that are Hall of Famers, Jimbo Covert, go to his house here in suburban Chicagoland and present his bust, his Hall of Fame bust. It was such a cool moment, such a cool moment. And like, you don't even have to be a Bears fan, man. Like that like tore on my heartstring a little bit watching that. And then let's talk about Devin really quick. The 2006 Super Bowl team that ultimately lost to the Colts. I was a freshman in high school. I remember staying up late to watch that Monday Night Football game against the Cardinals where Hester, ran that punt return back. I remember watching the first game of the season when he ran that punt return back against Green Bay. And to see where his career just like took off that year, to where he is now. I'm so proud of Devin. There's no other better kick return, punt returner ever to play this game. I always thought Dante Hall from the Chiefs was really good. I thought Josh Cribbs from the Browns growing up, that was my time. I thought he was great, but like no one touched Devin. Nobody touched Devin. And so many Bears teams that we watch just have like the worst sluggish offense. Devin picked the whole team up with some of his touchdown runs that like just the franchise desperately needed at that time, in a moment in a game where the Bears can't muster anything up on offense. The defense is just keeping them in, and Devin just electrified the crowd, electrified the stadium with some of his runs. And I mean, who can forget, taking the opening kick return back in Super Bowl? I mean, it's never been done before. I don't think it's ever going to be done before. Just what a special moment, what a special player. And I'm just so happy and so proud that he got in. I really think he should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, because nobody has been able to accomplish and has been able to do what he's done. So it was just such a great weekend if you're a Bears fan. And then it just kind of slowly steamrolled into today's episode on HBO. And again, guys, if you don't have an HBO subscription, reach out to your family, your loved ones, your buddies, your pals, anybody. You got to watch that. You got to watch it. It is the best behind the scenes, all access. And I'm a sucker for like sports documentaries. And it just the amount of access that we get is just awesome, man. It's just awesome. And again, I keep referencing it. I'm so used to watching Hard Knocks with the Jets or with the Lions, with the Browns, with the Texans, with the Bengals. They've done the Bengals twice. Like they've done so many teams twice. They've done a lot with the Cowboys, with the Ravens, and to finally have them do it about the Bears, it's just it hit different, man. It really hit different. And like for once, I feel like my team is the cool team. You might not like the Bears, you might not be the biggest Bears fan. You might think that, based on their recent history, the Bears really aren't anything. And I get it, I understand. But like just for once, just pause and just think about everything that's happened since April and where this team honestly has come since Ryan Poles has become general manager. I mean, a pure masterclass in rebuilding a franchise, rebuilding a roster from the ground up. And accumulating assets, accumulating draft capital, and this is finally going to be the year, Lord willing. Wow, that was loud. Sorry. Knock on wood, Lord willing, like this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year where we're going to finally see those results on the field. We're finally going to see, what we've been waiting and longing for a long time. And that's a winner in this city. Again, the episode tonight was incredible. This was the Bare Necessities podcast. Again, I'm John Presnowski. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Again, please, go to my YouTube page, the Bare Necessities podcast. We're going to be releasing so much more videos throughout this year, so many more guests. And honestly, this is just really going to keep growing, guys. And I'm so excited to bring you guys all this. And I'm excited for you guys to come along with the ride. So again, this episode is going to be available on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Again, please like and subscribe. And I'm going to see you guys around the same time next week. And we're going to talk about the Bears upcoming game on Saturday. Caleb's finally going to get some action. And I think we're going to talk a little bit more about what's next to come on the next episode of Training Camp with Chicago Bears Hard Knocks. So again, until next time, guys, peace.